UFC 137, Georges St Piere was supposed to fight Nick Diaz, as we all know, right? But Nick Diaz didn't go to that press conference, and Dana White gave him the middle finger and put Carlos Condit in his position. So Carlos Condit's now fighting St Pierre, and a lot of people are saying that they think Carlos Condit's even, a tougher opponent for Georges St Pierre. And the reason why both of these two opponents were considered tough, or at least in my opinion, is because they're really good on the ground and they're really good standing up. I mean, Nick Diaz doesn't really have power per se, but he knocks out power fighters, right? Like Paul Daly last time. I was in San Diego, so I got to see that one for about $35 live, and that was just amazing. But when I went back and watched it, you could see that Nick Diaz also went down, and so Nick Diaz is going to fight BJ Penn, and that's going to be a sick fight. I mean, I hope it is, and I'm like 95% sure it's going to be a sick fight. I don't see how that could be a boring fight, and I don't think the Georges St Pierre versus Condit fight's going to be boring either. That's why these tickets are starting at $350, because this is going to be a great card. So GSP versus Carlos Condit. Was talking to my boy the other day, and he gives his opinion online also, Big J, and he thinks GSP is going to win. But then again, so does everybody, and I don't think he's going to win. I think he's going to lose. I remember when Matt Serra beat him, and he, if you watch that tape closely, he taps on punches. Yeah, Georges St Pierre tapped from Matt Serra's punches. So, he's really good. He can dictate the fight, but what's he going to do when he's fighting somebody who's not a Dan Hardy? Where he couldn't even submit Dan Hardy. GSP couldn't even beat. He couldn't even beat a bad stand-up fighter standing up. And who am I talking about? His last match. Who did he fight in his last match? Well, I'm sure you all know who he fought in his last match. Jake Shields cannot stand up. He's horrible at it. And if you watch after round 3, beginning of round 4, you hear Georges St Pierre, I can see. And you can see Jackson, his trainer, doesn't even like him. He's like, just get in there and fight St Pierre. So this is what I really think. And I want to see if you guys agree with this, if you could just listen to this and try to absorb it. Georges St Pierre's game plan is to either, take down a stand-up fighter or to stand up with a ground fighter. That's just true. Now he's fighting a fighter who's good at both. Another part of Georges St Pierre's game plan, which is major, is not to get hurt. I think that's his real game plan. Excuse me. So he doesn't want to get hurt. Condit's the main thing I see about Condit. I mean, I know he calls himself the natural born killer, but I believe it. He really does go out and hurt you. He'll make sure he hurts you. So I think St. Pierre is going to get hurt. And the reason why I'm pretty sure he's going to get hurt is because, just say he hurts Condit, he's not going to run in for the finish. He's not going to finish off Condit. So I'm betting my money on Condit. So if he hurts my boy, he's not going to finish him. So I still have money on my boy, and I feel like he's going to come back and he's going to hurt him. Once St. Pierre's hurt, the fight's going to be over. So I'm really going out on a limb here. I'm really going out for Carlos Condit. I know I'm going to get a lot of bad reviews online. People telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. GSP's the man. But, I'm a hardcore fan. And I'm putting my money on Condit. I'm going to Vegas that night, and I'm going to the fight, and I'm coming out of there with some of my money in my pocket. So let's see what happens. UFC 137, Georges St Pierre versus Carlos Condit. Put your money on Condit. And leave a comment. Tell me why you think St. Pierre is going to win. And if you agree with me, I know it's only going to be like 10 or 20% of you. Let me know that you think Carlos Condit actually has a chance. So Carlos Condit, UFC 137. Subscribe. MMA News Dog Radio. News Dog.